Hello everyone. So in today's video I was kindly sent the set of 48 soft oil pastels by Lightwish for a review. I'm really excited to get stuck into these. They seem really gorgeous. If you know how I generally use mixed media, and there's a video on my channel about how I use mixed media, I normally use oil pastels on top of paintings, so I don't usually just use them on their own as their own piece. But in today's video I thought it'd be fun to give them a test, compare them to my current oil pastels, swatch them out, and also try them as I would normally use them as accents on top of a painting and on their own as their own little thing. So let's get into it. So they come in this nice little box, and then they come with a sheet of protective foam on top as well. And then we have all of our beautiful oil pastels. What I absolutely love about these is that they come with 4 shades of white. So you have white, 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 white and white. And that's really useful for me because I personally use white the most when I use oil pastels. And if you're curious as to what my white oil pastel currently looks like, this is it. This is my white oil pastel versus the new one that I have. So that's really exciting. I can tell already these are lovely and soft, like they're coming off quite easily. So in terms of oil pastels that I use, I have several different brands, and let me see if I can gather comparable samples of each. So these are my 4 other kinds of oil pastels, and let me see, you are probably the most comparable one here. Other oil pastel brands that I use are the Caran Neo Pastel. So these are the Neo Color ones basically, and these are an oil based pastel, whereas the Neo Color 2s are water based. This one is whole bean oil pastel. They don't come with any wrappers. This one is a Sennelier oil pastel. This one is, the label is ripped, but it's a Mungyo Gallery oil pastel. And then of course we have our Lightwish oil pastels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch 4 different ones out. I'm going to use this blue because the yellow will show up better, because pale yellow is the best option that I have. So I'm going to swatch them all out here, and then we can see the difference between all 4 of them. Neo Color, then our whole bean, and this is overpaint as well, so it gives me a good idea of how these will work. The Sennelier, the Mungyo Gallery, and then we have the Lightwish. Ooh, that's very buttery. That's like way more buttery than I expected. So I'm going to quickly label these ones with a tiny Neo Color. So this one we said was the Caran. This one was our whole bean. This one was our Sennelier. This one was our Mungyo, and this one is Lightwish. So you'll see with my B-roll here, but obviously the colours, they're not obviously all the same, but I would say that this is actually surprisingly softer. I thought it would be a lot harder, but I think this one actually has some of the best coverage. I think the Caran is quite a hard oil pastel, so it has quite good coverage, but sometimes it can be hard to like get it to come off. See there, which seems to kind of reject. Whereas with this one I can tell it's going to be really nice and soft, and I can get nice details to come off. And then what I like about the softness of this, it's too much in the Sennelier one, because sometimes I feel like it can slip on itself and it can kind of rub itself away. Like you can see here, I'll try and get a good zoom in image, but you can see that it can get quite slippy and kind of slip away from itself, whereas with this one I find that happens less, which I quite like about the Lightwish one. Then our Mungyo Gallery pigment doesn't have as good as payoff, and it's the same with the whole bean one as well. So I can definitely see myself reaching for these when it comes to adding little details on top of paintings. And they're way softer than I expected them to be. They're really nice and soft oil pastels, and that's what I prefer for my oil pastels as well. So I'm very excited to give these a go, especially in comparison to my other ones. I can see myself reaching for these ones the most out of everything. So let's get to a new page and let's get swatching. So I'm going to skip past everything here and I'm going to swatch out all these colours for you. That is all of our swatches. I'll zoom in again so you can see a little bit better. I really love, so I'll point out some of the ones that I love. I'll have a pointer here. So this particular green, oh, I love it so much. That is one of my favorites. I love a good sage green. I love this yellow in particular because I think that'll be so lovely, and this one as well for highlights on top of things. I find yellows in pencils and paints can be a little bit, they can kind of lack pigments, and I can kind of find them a bit hard to go over like details with when I'm adding yellows. So that's why I use oil pastels a lot for those details. I love these peachy shades and like how they're kind of more intense, and this one is a little bit more cool. I think they're gorgeous. I also love this one here as like, oh, nice. You can't tell, I feel like, on paper, but like in real life, it's this shade here. It's called Frosty White. It's ever so slightly, it has a tiny tinge of green, I find. If you hold it up against this one here, you can kind of see it has the tiniest tinge of green. I love that. I think that'll be so beautiful. I think I can create some really gorgeous skyscapes with these pieces, so I'm tempted to do a nice sunsetty sky. I think my only my only thing that I would like to see more of in these is olive green shades. So for example, in my Sennelier oil paints, a shade like a nice pinky brown shade like that, and then also having, I think this is bronze green. I'd love to see a shade like that in these colors, browny, warm toned greens. They're like, I always feel like people miss out on the brown warm toned greens, but that's my only one that I feel I'd like to see more of. I think I'll give them a go on their own first, and then I think I will see what it's like to layer them over paintings. I'm 99.9% confident that they're going to layer beautifully over paintings, but I'm just really curious to kind of try for myself to see what they're like on their own, because I'm just not as like used to paint or like using oil pastels exclusively for a piece. So I'm really excited to try that out. So let's get started with a drawing, I suppose. I keep calling it a painting, but I suppose it's not a painting if it's by itself. I'm going to be using my Odd Orange sketchbook for this one, and I think I'm going to opt for a lovely landscape, especially because that might work better for what we're doing here. Okay, so let's get working. Okay, so that is the oil only piece done. I'll zoom you in so you can get a nice big view of all the details of it. It's really gorgeous. I'm actually really happy. It looks really messy up close, obviously, because they're oil, so they're not as easy to control as pencils. But I think this looks really nice. And I was able to get, by mixing a nice kind of bronzy yellow with, I mixed like these two colors together to get this kind of golden green that I love so much. So I think that kind of helped me with my missing shade that I wanted. I think this turned out really nice. I'd love to try a bigger piece with them. This is the aftermath. They're obviously not that messy at all. My hands are a little bit messy, but I have a cloth here. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that piece turned out. I think that looks really nice actually. I find it hard using mediums that I'm not confident in, but I think for a medium that I'm not 100% myself in, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. So I think for the next piece, I'm just going to go ahead and do a cozy little landscape down here, and then we'll see how these sit on top of paints. So let's get into that one. Vibes around the clouds. I'll do some here. I don't want to use any pencils for this one. I want to make it look like the trees are backlit as well, so I'm gonna One thing that I love to do with oil pastels and stuff is to make it look like there's like flowers in the ground. I take like the flat end like this and I will drag it across really lightly. And that way it kind of gives the impression of loads of small tiny flowers. It works slightly better for the harder oil pastels, so these ones kind of, because they're so soft, it can work not as, they're almost too good. That's some nice cloudy ones in here. Oh, I picked up a little bit of the orange. And again, I'm going to do it with clouds as well to make these look like kind of cirrus. Is that the name of the clouds that are like really light? I'll do with this like bluier one as well. Oh, so pretty. I'll do some of the flowers with the blue one too. And I think I might go in here with the edge of the screen. Sometimes if you have edges on them, you can just wipe them off as well. So I'm gonna go really lightly in here. I'll add in some tree branches. Obviously with pencils you can get a more precise finish. You can always sharpen these as well, but I prefer leaving them unsharpened. That turned out quite nice actually. Kind of like the ghostly colour of this green. Really pretty. And I love adding these little dots. And of course we gotta use some of our white. I like about this, they can just, these just simple mark making can like give the impression of like flowers and stuff to a landscape, so otherwise it could be kind of flat and boring. That's what I love about these. I want to pull in more of the peachy pinks into this area because I've already pulled some of the yellows in, so I'll pull some of the pinks in. And then we'll go with some bright greens also. Just a little bit. Just like brighten them up. And maybe some of this blue. That's nice kind of like, that brings out the blues in the shadow areas a little bit better, I think. Yeah, little blades of grass as well. I think I might be pretty much done now. Yeah, I think that turned out lovely. So here's our painted image. Nice. I think these added a gorgeous, these sit really, really well on top of paints. And look at how vibrant they are. Look at that blue. Like, I don't edit the colors on my videos, so this is literally just how it actually looks in real life. They're really gorgeous and bright, these colors, I have to say. They're very pigmented. So let's zoom you out. I can get the full shebang, full image. So that is the Lightwish 48 color oil pastels. I hope you enjoyed watching them. I'd highly recommend them, and there will be a link in the description as well for these with a discount code, I believe. So do please give it a look-see, because these turned out so well. And like, look at the pigments alone in these. I think they turned out fantastic. They sit really well on top of paints and mixed media, and they also layer really well amongst themselves, as you can see in this piece here. So yeah, I would highly, highly recommend these oil pastels. So please do give them a little look-see as well. I hope you enjoyed watching me try these out, and I hope you enjoy them. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!